Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thursday's Zoom. I'm going to just take just a few minutes and let everybody just get in. Hi, Janisha. How are you?
Hi.
This is going to be your last Zoom class unless you come after you graduate. Janisha's last day is next Tuesday, the 21st.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. That's what we work hard for, right? For 8.5, almost 9 months. But I have to tell you, it hurts my heart. I don't like it. I don't want to give y'all up at the end. So there's Jalexis, bless her. Now she's got her picture on. Okay, so I was just telling the ladies, and I'll repeat it today for our, I'm going to say lecture. It's not really a lecture. We're going to talk about some job expectations and do a little bit of housekeeping where that's concerned. And then we're going to move straight into a review for chapter 1 and 2. So you can get off of here and go take your exam and make an A on it. Here comes Jenny. Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm so excited to see y'all. I have to tell you something. I'm going to tell a little story. So last Thursday, after we got off Zoom, I called another instructor. I waited a couple of hours because instructors on Thursday afternoons, that's when they have, all instructors have their live Zoom class on Thursdays. So by 4 o'clock, 4:30, we're usually finished up, and we call each other and say, my Zoom class was so awesome today. I had 7 or 8 students, however many on, and this is what they said, and this is what was going on. So last week, after I got off of our Zoom, I called another instructor and I said, my Zoom class was so good. I was so happy to see everybody. Even though these Zooms are not required, I want to just share with you what they do for me personally. I took the job at Unitech so that I could teach students. I went from my nice little cushy office with my own fax machine, all these little things, and I moved to Unitech, and I've never regretted it. But let me tell you, the hardest thing from moving to in the classroom to online was not being able to see students every single day, because as an instructor, sitting in front of me is why I do what I do, is to have the relationship with y'all, to share my enthusiasm with medical billing and coding. Yes, I teach, but I learn with you. The lessons that you guys do, I do them before you do them. The sim charting, by the time it rolls back around, I can never remember what I need to put where and push. I do the assignments before you do it. I'm always so encouraged and excited to see you guys when you can be here. Now, there's no pressure in that, but I just want you to know that you being on Zoom with me means the world to me, and I just appreciate it. I think Michaela's trying to log in again, and Miss Jessica's coming in. I just wanted to tell you guys that I appreciate so much whenever you can take the time and be with me in Zoom. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about today before I share my slideshow is going to be job expectations. I want to share with you a little bit about what is expected whenever you get the job. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So say that you go into your office, you're a biller, and you come into the office and there are 200 super bills claims on your desk that you have to bill that day. Do you think there's going to be a time when you say, I need more time?
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No. As a medical biller and coding specialist, there is a requirement that you meet every day. Well, and I say no, you will know. I'm going to tell you, billing out 500 super bills for a biller in one day is nothing. Sounds like a lot, right? But it's really not. My point is I want you guys to begin to treat school like your career. Now, like Jenny just said, yeah, you can ask for more time. Yeah, I get where you can, where that would come into play and you would think that, but you have to use that wisely, because if every day the expectation is that you bill out 500 super bills from your doctors, and then every day you have to say, oh, I can only bill 300. Oh, can you give me more time? Oh, can you reopen the same assignment 5 times in a row? Do you understand how I am trying very hard to switch everyone's mindset right now in things happen, and yes, I want to be able to reopen assignments for you, but I also don't want you to get into a bad habit of, I'm your boss right now, right? You're my billing and coding specialist. I want everybody to begin to think of school as your career. Now, in your career, do you have to call out sometimes because the kids are sick? Yeah, you do, right? So do you guys get what I'm saying? I need for you to put that hat on. I need you to start thinking, school is my career right now. So everything I do, I'm going to do as if it's my career. Do y'all understand the point that I'm trying to make with that? And remember, I'm not just talking to you guys. We're recording. I'm talking to the entire class. So I need for everybody to understand that doing your assignments is just like doing your super bills. It's just like coding your medical records. It's just like doing your pre-authorizations for insurance that you would go into your career and do every day. That's what I want everybody to start thinking of your assignments as, is what you're getting paid to do at your job every day. So do you guys even really know what the expectations are? Job expectations are for medical billing and coding specialists? Probably not. So I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to look at some of it. And then we're going to get straight into our test review. Okay. So do you guys have any questions before we switch over? Nope. All right. Good deal. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? My little slideshow?
Yeah.
All right, so job expectations. Y'all know I'm always fighting with this little thing that pops up. So it says, okay, so the expectations when you come into a job would be displaying a positive and respectful attitude, working with honesty and integrity, representing the organization in a responsible manner, performing their job in a reasonable, acceptable standard, maintaining good attendance, conducting themselves in a professional manner, even when off duty, and following set policies and procedures when dealing with problems or issues. All of that's pretty much, you guys know that, right? It's just a reminder. Medical biller responsibilities. The medical billing job description is pretty straightforward. You create and send medical claims for the insurance companies and the patients. The medical biller is responsible for reporting accurate information to the insurance company so the patient can be billed for the correct amount, no more, no less. Once the insurance company has paid its portion, medical billers are also in charge of getting and the remaining bill drawn up and sent to the patient. Other than medical biller responsibilities include follow-up on unpaid claims, clarifying discrepancies, arranging payment plans for patients, obtaining pre-authorizations for certain procedures, reviewing bills, confirming eligibility, and more. So some required skills: proficiency with computers and medical billing software. What are we doing with our SIM chart right now? We're becoming familiar with medical billing software, front office software. Knowledge of unfair debt collection practices and insurance guidelines. We're still working there. Understanding of primary code classifications, ICD-10, CPT, HCPCS. Some of you have gone through all of that. Some of you have only had a little bit of it, but you will go through the rest of it. Communication skills with patients, healthcare companies, and basic accounting and bookkeeping practices. That just means you got to be able to add and subtract. And we all have calculators, right? So I don't want you to say, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about accounting or bookkeeping. It's all systematic. General responsibilities, got to move this again, of medical billers and coders. Medical billers and coders play a vital role in the healthcare team, working with providers, patient, and insurance companies. As a medical biller and coder, you'll be responsible for a wide range of tasks, including reading and analyzing patients' records to determine medical history, including diagnoses and treatments, determining correct codes for patient records. So when you guys were reading those scenarios in your coding, what were you doing? That's the part of the job responsibility that you've prepared for in that part of this course. Using codes to bill insurance providers, again, coding, interacting with physicians and assistants to ensure accuracy, keeping track of patient data over multiple visits. That's what we're learning right now in SIM charting. Manage details, specifically coded information, maintaining patient confidentiality and information security. We'll be covering HIPAA here soon. Medical billers and coders work in a variety of healthcare settings, including hospitals, physicians' offices, and nursing care facilities, among others. However, they are typically separate from where patient care is taking place, with the majority of their work being done independently from everything else going on in the facility. So I want you to look at this word independently. And I just want to make a point. Your work that you're doing right now, do you feel like you're independent when you're working? I feel like you guys all display independency. I want you to understand that you being able to problem solve and work independently is something that is preparing you to be a medical billing and coding specialist. I worked independently in my little corner of the office, but when I needed help, I had someone to go to. Just like you guys are working independently, but when you need help, what do? You come to me and I give you help, right?
Yes.
I also want to say something about unanswered questions on exams. Now, we're not doing coding anymore, but I'm going to bring this up because I want you to remember this as we go forward in any test that you're taking. If you are given an opportunity to answer something and you leave it blank, do you know what that says to me? I'm your boss. You're my medical billing and coding specialist. You did not code or complete your claim. Whether the code was right or wrong, it's important, yes, but it is definitely not acceptable to leave an answer blank because that's a claim you didn't bill. Now, I didn't say that before because it just occurred to me, and usually everybody answers the questions, but I had a few issues with unanswered questions. Even if your answer is wrong, I want you to try, okay? So don't leave anything blank on your quizzes. Even if it's a medical term that you don't know, try. I want to see you try. Okay, let's see, what do I have next? I think next we're going to go straight into our review. Does anybody have any questions about what we just talked about? Anything you want to add? I'm just going to say one more thing about it. My goal is that when you leave this program, you are ready to go for your career, not a job, your career. When you get into that office and you start working independently, I want you to be able to remember, Ms. Marcia said I was going to have to work independently. I was going to have to be a critical thinker. And when I ask a question, write it down because I don't want to answer the same question 500 times, right? I've always been known as the binder queen. Do you want to know why? When I was a medical coder and biller, when I asked a question, I wrote it down and I put it in my binder. When I got information for Blue Cross Blue Shield on how to bill and what were the specifics, I didn't have to ask more than once because I wrote down step 1. Listen, kindergarten and crayons is fine as long as you can read it, right? But that's what I did. I still have my book, my first day of billing. I still have my notebook. And literally it says step 1, push enter. Step 2, click this. Step 3, there is no shame in that game. I want you guys to understand that writing notes is important. It's important in class and it will be important in your career. All right, so who's ready to review chapter 1? Miss Jessica said something. Let's read what Miss Jessica said. The Unitech medical billing and coding is important because it provides you with comprehensive knowledge, credentialing opportunities, job opportunities, and compliance with regulation. Know that you are amazing. You have an amazing instructor, Miss Jessica Washington. Thank you, Miss Jessica. We appreciate that. I just wanted to read what she had written. All right, so let me share my screen. So there's Miss Jessica. Everybody say hello.
Hello, how is everyone doing?
Hello.
Doing good, you.
Very good, very good. I'm just in for a short period of time. I want y'all to know that y'all are amazing. You will be someone. Follow Miss Marsha's lead and the sky is the limit.
Thank you.
My
Y'all have a
ladies are
great day.
awesome. All right, so let's get straight into our review. Okay, you guys, you know that compared to coding, this stuff is a piece of cake, but sometimes it can get confusing. So we're just going to go through and do a few things. You move this out of the way. So what is not found in a patient's record? Let's think about it. Immunization records, operative reports, or patient statements?
Patient statements.
That's right.
Patient statements.
That's perfect. What the patient says is not written down exactly in the patient record. She tells that, or he tells that to the physician or the nurse or the PA, but they're not going to say Susie Joe came in and said that her mom checked her ear. No, that's not going to be in there, right? Only what the doctor gleans from the patient. So an example of a HIPAA form that is included in the medical record would be a patient information sheet, notice of privacy practices, or an H&P.
Notice of privacy
Okay.
practices.
Right. HIPAA is all about privacy and security. So it is B, notice of privacy practices. So let's talk about what is a documenter. An individual who is responsible for recording data in the patient's record. True or false? A patient is a documenter in the patient chart.
False.
False, absolutely not. Can you think of someone who would be a documenter in the patient record or the patient chart?
Medical
Doctor.
assistant.
Holly, give me one.
Medical assistant.
A medical assistant. Jenny, can you think of another one?
The doctor.
The doctor? Right. So a patient does not ever document in their patient chart. Okay, the receptionist would commonly document patient vital signs, hospital orders, or patient no-shows. Please remember the scope of practice that we talked about last week. What is your scope of practice? Receptionists would commonly document vital signs, hospital orders, or patient no-shows. Makira, what do you think?
Patient no-shows.
Absolutely. Patient no-shows. All right, Janisha, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Who is the owner of the physical medical record?
The medical office. Or the
That's right. The facility that created that record, right? And I'm doing it like it's paper, like it's a book. Sometimes it's all electronic, but right. Okay, who else do I have? I need to make sure that I have. Okay, Jalexis. Who owns the information that's in the medical record? Who owns that information?
The patient.
The patient, that's right. So the facility owns the physical record. The patient owns his information. All right. Justice. How does the patient get his medical record? Justice may have be off. for
Oh,
the-
I'm sorry, my son is in here on his tablet.
Oh, that-
Don't they have to sign a release form?
That is right. If a patient refuses to sign a release form, can we let his medical records go with him? Or her?
No.
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 Good job, guys. All right. When a patient visits with the provider, it is called, well, okay,
An encounter.
listen. An encounter, yeah, somebody said it. It's an encounter. I know that it can be called a visit, but the technical term is an encounter. So on your exam, that's the answer I'm going to be looking for. An encounter is when a patient visits with the provider. Which of the following is a disadvantage of the EHR? Jenny, can you answer this one for me?
Initial investment.
Initial investment. I think last week we talked about when I first started doing billing, they were just switching everybody over to electronic health records. And if you wouldn't switch, you had so long before you had to start paying fines. So the initial investment is the biggest disadvantage of an EHR. You need to know these two key terms, these two. Well, I think there's a couple of more, but these two right now. A copayment is a fixed sum of money dictated by the insurance company that is paid by the patient, usually at the time medical services are rendered. What's a day sheet? A register for all daily business transactions such as patient services, payments, and adjustments, also called a day journal. Now listen, when I think of a day sheet, I can close my eyes and see those little, y'all remember those little green books that had all the little, like the graph paper in it, and they wrote everything in the little green. That's not a day sheet anymore. That was way back in the day. I'm showing my age, but that's okay. It's electronic now, but that's what a day sheet is. Let me look. Let me see. So if on your exam it says the blank is a statement for the daily business transactions, it includes the list of checks and balances for the office for a specific date of service. That is going to be day sheet. All right, so you guys understand those two key terms?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
So now we're going to do everybody's favorite, true and false. Not going to do these face to face. So I'm going to go through some true false questions. I am going to ask Justice to go first, and then I'll call each one. And this is the deal. Do not get nervous to answer true or false. If we get everything right, do we learn?
No.
No. It's only when we get something wrong that we learn. Okay. So, and y'all, I don't generally like true and false questions, but with this particular module, it's not like coding where we have a bunch of scenarios to do. So I have to use my, test bank, and they have lots of true and false questions, but I'm not giving y'all a bunch. Okay. So Justice, it says maintaining patient records is optional for healthcare providers. True or false?
False.
Right. Nope. You have to maintain those. All right, Janisha. The medical assistant is a frequent documenter in the patient record.
True.
True. Jalexis. Information that is documented in the electronic patient chart may be handwritten. Okay, I emphasized a word there. I'm gonna read it again. Information that is documented in the electronic patient chart may be handwritten.
False.
False, because if it's electronic, it's not handwritten, right? So I wanted to emphasize. So some of these are a little tricky. So I want you to make sure that when you're reading, you're paying close attention. All right, Jenny. The patient is the owner of the health record.
False.
Good job. Now tomorrow, or when you take your test, I'm not going to be there going. So you guys really have to remember. The record is the physical part. The information is not. Okay. Markira. An established patient is one who has been seen by a member of the healthcare team within the past 4 years.
False.
False. What is it? How many years? 3 years. 3 years. All right. Michaela, are you able to answer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Introducing the electronic health record into the provider's office will result in little to no employees' resistance. True or false?
False.
It's false. I mean, and that's one of those questions we've already introduced it, right? But do you think it was met with resistance? We kind of talked about that. We have some old school medical people that don't like the electronics. They don't like the Googles, right? They don't like the internets, but that's where we're at. Okay, so I have one more. Power outages, viruses, backup procedures, and computer freezes and crashes pose other safety and security concerns for medical offices using EHRs. What do you think, Jenny?
True.
True. Okay, who feels good about chapter 1? Y'all don't get
I
too
did.
excited all at one time.
Yeah.
There you, Markira, thank you. Thank you. All right, on to chapter 2. Okay, so let's talk about some key terms that you need to know. Active patients are established patients who have seen a physician or any healthcare provider within the group within the past 3 years. Inactive patients are those patients who have not been seen in the past 3 years. I'll move this up here. The retention period is the amount of time records must be kept, retained in storage by a medical office. Please remember this part. Paid insurance claims have to be kept for 3 years. Y'all see a pattern here? 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. If you settle that 3 in your mind, you're going to be good. Okay. Another key term, browser. In case you don't know what a browser is, it is an application that allows you to view and download content from the internet. And a home page is the main page of a website, usually the opening screen. That's it. So chapter 2, not a lot of information. Of course, I didn't go over every single question with you guys because how would that be fair for an exam, right? I just kind of gave you guys a really good overview and what key terms you're going to need to know. So do you guys have any question, comments, or concerns?
No.
No.
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, if you have any question, comments, or concerns, what do you need to do?
Reach out.
Reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Jalexis was on Zoom with me yesterday. Everybody here, are you able to get into your sim charting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Markira, was that yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, I want to
I
talk
had
about.
one question about the sim chart, Ms. Marshall, sorry.
No, you're
Are we
good.
supposed to go back into the same one every time, or do we start a new one? Like when we do the exercises in the book, we go back to the same one, right?
Yeah, I would go back to the same one. That's kind of a new feature. If you start a new one, it does not keep any of your patient information. Remember on my 5-minute video when I kept going back to look for Chase Murphy and I couldn't find him? It's because I took him out of there once I put him in. So you have
I
to
did
go-
that.
you know, you learn. Listen, you cannot
Yeah.
learn unless you do something wrong. I am actually building an assignment now. It's going to take a little while. But about what we're going to do is we're going to start from a phone call, and we're going to go from a phone call to putting in an appointment. We're going to go to the doctor. We're going to get a medical record. We're going to put it on a claims form. We're going to go through each step of the process. But I want to encourage you, put your baby's information in your sim charting. Put your husband's in practice. That is your sim chart. I can't see what you're putting in there. Nobody's going to mess with that information. Don't put real information in there. You're the only one who can see it, but that's still not safe. Get in and play with it. The more you know about this EHR system, the more equipped you're going to be to answer the telephone at your career and start making appointments on your first day. I don't know if you guys remember me talking about a student I had that started at a pediatrician office, and her first day, she was making appointments, taking phone calls, because she took this particular module very seriously and the next one. So, all right, you guys have a wonderful day. Let me know if I can do anything to help you, and I will see you next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Miss
Bye.
Bye.
Jessica, can you stay on for like 5 minutes?